It's game day, baby. It's a minute to the kick. Time to dial it in. Because it's not a kickoff until all the flavors come together. Tastes good, too. So raise your glass and kick off a crumb. I'm gonna take a sip now.
Welcome on another episode of Creators Corner. I'm your host, James Dale, and this is Mr. Jhmyle Crocker. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing today?
I can't complain. I prayed this morning before I left and dropped off my daughter. I woke up late, but it was okay, because everything aligns the way it's supposed to align. So, Jhmyle, tell my audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for inviting me on the show. This is a very, very amazing opportunity. Mm-hmm. This man, hardworking. So please watch this show, not just this interview, but watch all of the interviews. So I just want to put that out there. Like he said, my name is Jhmyle Crocker. I'm originally from Bloomfield, Connecticut. We're in Bloomfield, so It feels good to be around here. I live in New York currently right now, so made the trip down here, enjoying my family, doing some work. So I work pretty much almost every day. I'm a property inspector for the mortgage company, so I take pictures, report back to lenders, mortgage companies, banks, just to go and look at some of the properties that they ask me to. Mm-hmm. I'm a model and an actor. I've been doing that for quite a bit. I didn't want to do it. My parents made me do it, and ended up falling in love with it. So, I guess parents know a little bit more than what we know. You know. They do. So, and lastly, I feel like I do so much. So, I'm trying to catch up with myself. I also have a clothing brand. It's called Last of Our Kind. Mm-hmm. We've had hoodies, shirts, different type of outfits out. Had celebrities wear it, all the way to Joe Blow on the corner. So it's just a blessing to see my work out there. Yeah,
that's good. That's a lot to unpack. So I'm gonna itemize my question based on how you presented it.
Yes.
Right? So how did you become a property inspector or manager?
Absolute property inspector.
Okay.
So my mom's a real estate agent. She's been doing that since I was a baby. Mm-hmm. So she really got me into that industry. Mm-hmm. I would say once my parents kind of stepped back from the business, that's when I stepped up. Mm-hmm. They wanted to do less inspections, and I was more ambitious and I wanted to do more. So I pretty much have the business to myself. My mom, she is my business partner. We're actually getting the LLC changed to under both of us. So it's going to be pretty much another venture that I'm going to be running myself. So my parents, they started the fire, and I'm running with the torch.
Okay. So for people out there who may be interested in getting into real estate or being a real estate inspector, how does one go about doing that?
So I kind of took the easy way because my parents were doing it so long, so I was pretty much grandfathered in. But if you're going to start from scratch, I would suggest going to some of the classes. They have home inspector classes that you can get certified, learn exactly what you're looking for, from the GFCIs on outlets to making sure there's no asbestos, mold, no holes in the wall, just kind of what you're looking for, interior and exterior, and just easier for people to learn those ropes. And then once they get into the field, it's cake. The only thing people, I would just make sure you have time to do the paperwork, because it can be you have a lot of free time, and then you might do 5 to 6 inspections a day, which I average about that, and I have to make sure I have all those reports in within 3 days. So I would suggest if you're going to get into that, make sure your schedule allows you to do it. and you have a decent camera, I use a very expensive digital camera. You do not need one of those. If you have a very nice smartphone, or if you have just a regular digital camera, you're already ahead of half of the people who want to start. So
okay, that's good, man. I like that. If you're a hardworking person and you want to get you don't mind getting your hands dirty and using your brain, hand-eye coordination, and you got an eye for detail, then doing that is the thing for you. Right?
Absolutely.
So you mentioned that your parents pretty much kicked you into doing modeling. That reminds me of a story. My wife and I went to the mall. I don't know if you experienced this. And we had our first daughter in the stroller, and a young lady approached us and said, "Oh, what a beautiful kid of yours. Have you ever considered modeling?" And soon as my wife heard that, she got hook, line, and sinker. "Oh, there's a producer out there in, where was it? In Norwalk? Yeah, in Norwalk. If you come, I guarantee you the producer is going to pick your daughter. She's so beautiful," right? Gave us the address. We went to this location. It's a Sunday, so I'm missing football. It was before Red Zones, and then they didn't have a smartphone that I can watch football on the road. So I'm already peeved off already, right? So we go down to Norwalk. When we go down to Norwalk, there is a whole, the place is buzzing like a beehive. There's kids with the comb over, the kid with the part and the comb over. There's parents on this side and that side. And me being from sales, I know that the room is already staged. You know what I mean? For unsuspecting individuals who don't know what that means is that you have companies that will stage a room and make it appear as though it is what they say that it is, but it's not. It's all doctored up, right? So I already assess the situation, being that I have a sales background. My wife is like, "Oh, this is so nice. Oh my God, I hope she get picked," and everything like that, right? So we go into a room. When we go into a room, it's not a producer. We go into a room, is a sales individual selling us packages for headshots. They say, "You need a headshot in order for you can attest to this. You need a headshot in order for you to go on audition." So the producer that is selecting the individuals for the role needs to know what you've done, what your skills are, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So they go on down the package, and the least expensive package is like $1,600. I'm like, we don't need none of this stuff. I thought we were supposed to be going to see a producer. That's what we was brought here for, because they saw something in my daughter that is exceptional, and the individual told us to come down here to see the producer, and it was nothing like that. We went away and we were disappointed. I knew what the situation was. I was only disappointed because I missed football, But for anybody out there, I'm going to ask Jhmyle, how did you get into being an actor after your parents kicked you out and made sure that you went on these auditions? What is the correct way to get into acting and modeling?
So I would say there's multiple ways. So I feel like I might have taken a little bit more the unconventional route. So with my parents, so I was around 7 years old. So this is made myself 99, 98, around that time. So before the 2000s, the model look was one thing than what it is now. So back in the day, there was that one look, skinny models. You want to be thin, you want to be tall. I was a thinner guy. I wasn't as tall, but for my age, I was average height. My parents threw me in there. I used to play for the Bloomfield Raiders, and they start telling me, "Hey, instead of football practice, we're gonna have you sometimes do this." And I'm sitting here like, what you mean? Like, I'm not gonna be outside in the dirt rolling around. So they brought me to so my model agency is it was John Casablanca. Shout out to them. They're actually dissolved in the Connecticut area, and now is our owner, Tina Canary. Shout out to Miss Tina. She's been with me through this whole ride of my modeling career. And so when it first was JC, my parents brought me for the headshots. I had to take classes, so I had to do runway. I had to do my headshots. I had to work on voiceover, voice acting. Even had to learn, even though I wasn't going to use makeup, I still had to know like the properties of makeup, how to put it on. how to take it off, how to make sure it's actually decent and not just thrown on your face. And so taking these classes really, I feel like, helped me understand the industry, knowing that, hey, yes, it's fun, but it's also a business at the end of the day, and you got to be ready for change at a drop of a hat. It brings me back to actually one of my latest commercials. I did a Super Bowl / Crown Royal commercial with the NFL. And I'm a huge Cowboy fan. Anyone who knows me knows.
I'm a Cowboys fan too.
Listen, Cowboy Nation in the building.
There we go.
Humongous Cowboy fan if everyone knows me. And they casted me as a Cowboy fan. I'm like, this is it. This is the beginning of the career. I love it. This is my favorite team. And they set me up for this. Oh, there's going to be a shoo-in. I step into the fitting room. This is like a week after they picked me, fitting room and everything like that. So we're just making sure all my clothes is ready. And I step into the room and it's a bunch of Saints gear.
Oh, man.
And I'm sitting here like, oh man, I probably just stepped into the wrong room. Da, da. And I said, hey, producers, I think I'm in the wrong room. Da, da, da. And they said, no, you're in the right room. And I was like, so I thought I was casted as a Cowboys fan. They said, no, you were, but we think you would be better in this position now. And you can't really, I tell people, you cannot show your emotions on your sleeve in that motion. Mm-hmm. You literally have to bite the bullet and say, okay, because I'll be honest with y'all, if I would have took the opportunity as the Cowboy fan, if you ever see the commercial, you can't even tell there's a Cowboy fan in it. Mm. In the commercial, I am pretty much the main face of the commercial, being the Saints fan. So I go and tell people sometimes what's for you is for you, and God has a different plan than what you originally thought. So and I'm very blessed to that change happened because it opened up a whole opportunity. It made me very, very visible instead of the Cowboy fan that got shown maybe half a second. Mm. And so that's one of the big things I tell people. Just be ready for change and be comfortable with being uncomfortable sometimes.
That's great advice. And one thing that I took from that story is that you are comfortable with who you are and understood that you have a purpose. And shout out to your parents for instilling that value in you. Yes. Because not a lot of people have that foundation. It's obvious that you have that foundation. So when you get an opportunity, and I'm sure you've done it before, give your parents a nice, good look in the eye and say thank you. Don't give them a reason, just say thank you. Because that is the number one thing that we as people in this plane need. We need a foundation, we need purpose, and you have both of those, right? And the next thing is a lot of people need somebody to look outside of themselves to see something that you may not see. You said that you was excited to be in the commercial as a Cowboy fan, but the producers and the director understood your light, and they needed you to shine more in the role as a Saints fan because they wanted to showcase and highlight your talent more than just a Cowboy fan. And just like you said, if you was a Cowboy fan, nobody would have known you. And it opened up a lot of doors. So that is a great thing that we as people need to hone ourselves and be comfortable in who we are, and whatever opportunities present us, that's the opportunity that's going to bring us to the next stage in our evolution. So outside of this commercial,
yes,
what is the biggest or the most memorable role that you have gone for?
Oh, man.
And landed.
Yes. I would have to say, besides that one, it was either, so I'd done a chic commercial for the Razor brand. It was going all over social media. So just to see like my friends and cousins and family and people just messaging me saying, hey, are you in this commercial and stuff like that. So besides that one, I would have to say being in Power. Okay. I was in Power Raising Canaan. I was a student, and if you ever, sorry if I'm spoiling, if y'all never watched the show, it's been out long enough, so I'm sorry. I'm in the scene where Kanan gets caught with bringing a gun into school, but his mom set him up to keep him at home more. So being in that role, it was I was noticeable. I was able to talk to some of the big crew, so like Raquel. She's an amazing actress. Even who play Kanan, they're both personable. They come and talk to the extras. Even like sometimes you get on these sets and the main cast they either blow you off or they don't talk to you. They might even look in your direction. So for them to be so welcoming and joking and warm on set, it just made everybody at ease. I feel like it made the scenes roll by even easier, and just everybody was in good spirits. So I feel like when people bring good energy to the set's just going to be even better, and then it's going to be more memorable for everybody on set. So I would say that might have been one of my favorites. Or one last one, I am on Pretty Little Liars. Okay. So I'm like first episode, I'm like right in the front of the class. Probably looking like one of the older students in the class, even though I do have a baby face sometimes. But that one was probably my favorite to start my career. That was a couple years ago. And I was doing about 5 to 6 different things. So just knowing that I had to sacrifice some things to get that role, it made it all better. And to see myself first episode right in the front of the class, it made it all worth it.
Okay, so can you break down how do you land the role, one, and two, is it put in the contract after you land the role that it's going to be a recurring role, or is it something that the producers and the directors see how the audience react to the episode, whether or not they bring you back?
That's a great question. So I would say some roles, they do lay it out like sometimes, and so this is another thing. So you could get started as a background. I've started as a background role in many TV shows or movies, and I've gotten upgraded to actual either a principal role, which is one of the main roles, or recasted role. And you might just stay as a background. Now, being a background doesn't mean you're not going to get called again. Sometimes you might just be in for one episode. Sometimes you're going to be there for every single episode that requires that specific background person. So I would say when you're first getting hired, sometimes you do have to audition. Have to audition for the role. Either they want to see your reactions to your face, they want to see your voice, they want to see how you interact with other people. Sometimes you're going to be sitting in audition tape to where it's just going to be you. So my wife has helped me out. She's played, like, she'll read me lines with somebody else, and so at least I have somebody to like bounce off my lines with. Sometimes you're just going to be by yourself, put a camera in front of a wall, and then you're just going to be speaking or acting or modeling. So honestly, it just depends on what they're looking for, what the reoccurrence is. Sometimes it will be in the contract. Sometimes you have to edit the contract after what you're doing. So there's a non-union and then there's a union. I am currently non-union, which means that I can work non-union and union jobs. Once you are in the union, you are only to work union jobs. So
is it a limitation, or it is do you get any benefits from that because you have to pay your scale?
Plus and minuses, yes.
Okay.
So people in the union are paid more. So people who are paid more in the union, they get to eat first in line. So they do get special treatment. Usually do get more hours. So, but the thing is, with the union, you do have to pay your dues. You have to make sure that you aren't doing non-union jobs, as I say, because you can either get in trouble, you can get fined, or get kicked out of the union altogether. And the union, they do get the better roles. So if you're non-union, you get a really, really good role, you either know somebody or the director really liked you. So that's just the thing. But with non-union, like I said, you will have the opportunity to do kind of like whatever you want. So you can do the non-union roles, like how I was with Crown Royal, because if I was union, I wouldn't have been able to do that one.
Okay.
So sometimes these agencies or these producing companies, they like to use non-unions because pay them less, there's not as many stipulations, no limitations, and you don't like the money gets less spread out, if you get what I'm saying. So I would say that's a benefit of non-union. But of course, with non-union, you're fighting everybody who's non-union instead of like in the world, everyone's pretty much non-union, and then you have the union people. So you got to make sure that if you're going to be non-union, you got to stand out. You have to show them why that you're here, why that you want it bad enough. And if you do that, then you can either get upgraded to union. I've gotten upgraded to union on certain shows just because they like my smile or I brought the energy. Sometimes I actually got in a role because I gave them a slick comeback when they asked my name. So my last name is Crocker. They said, "What's your name?" I said, "Jhmyle," like Betty. And so when they hear Betty Crocker, and they remember immediately. I went to one set to another. They said, "You're the Betty Crocker guy." And immediately everyone was just like, "Oh yeah, I remember him, da da da." And so it's not what you know, is who you know.
It's true.
You know? So
Gotta
make
be
yourself.
personable.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. In order to have friends, you got to be first friendly.
Yes.
You know? And with what you said as an actor and as being from non-union to union, you being an independent, right? You get to pick and choose your role, and like you said, the pie gets cut and distributed a lot less. You get more of the pie. I'm getting the gist of that. You don't have to pay agents and things of that nature, so that's a good thing. So you really have to respect and hone your craft to take a chance on yourself to be non-union.
Yes.
Right. So your reputation precedes you. So every time, just like you say your name, and people understand and know where you are based off your work. So you really know your stuff. That's a good thing. So do you advise budding actors to take a chance on yourself like you have, to be non-union versus union?
You miss 1,000% of the shots you don't take. Okay. And so I tell people, yes, there's good risk and there's bad risk. The good risk are when you see an opportunity and you're like, I might make it, over this is an opportunity that I'm probably not going to make it. If there's a slight chance you might be able to make it, I say go for it. I tell people, do not miss your opportunity, because that door that's just cracked open, you can slide right in, and then once your foot's in the door, you can take off. So I tell people, yes, they should take that risk. Now, in reality, every risk are not going to be rewarded. And I'm sorry to say, because I've taken risk and I have not been rewarded, just like I've taken risk and I have been rewarded. So you just can't get discouraged with the L's. Worry about the next W. Like the L's, like they say, it's a lesson. You fight through all those L's to get that one W. I remember somebody told me you get 1,000 no's to get that one yes. And once you get that one yes, it makes it all worth it in the end. So
that's the lesson I got from sales too. So that seems like a universal
absolutely
thing. You know, everything is a learning experience. You can't take yourself too seriously, but you have to take yourself serious enough so other people could respect who you are and what you stand for. Yes. A great person once told me, it's not what you do, is what you don't do. People will respect you for that. From modeling to acting, how did you transition from being a model to acting? How did that come about?
I honestly think modeling's easier. Like modeling, you just got to go act it out there, and sometimes it'll sound kind of funny. You got to act cocky, and I'm not saying act cocky in the sense of you speaking it, but you have to have that attitude. I'm the baddest MF on the planet. I'm walking on this runway, and no one can tell me nothing, because people can tell. I've been seeing fashion shows, runways. You can tell when someone's a little bit nervous, or they're not comfortable with their body, or comfortable even in the outfit they are. But I've seen some people, they could wear a plastic bag and they'll rock that plastic bag because of the attitude, because of the fierceness, because of the facial expressions. They could, it doesn't matter what you're wearing, it's how you wear it. So I would say that mindset is what gets me from being an actor to a model sometimes, to where I can go anywhere and kind of just blend in. Like, you got to be chameleon. You got to be able to stand in, but also you don't want to put yourself out there too much to where they're like, they might not be workable, might be coachable, but just enough to where they stand there like they might have it. Now, if they think you have it, run with it. Run with it, because they are going to try to make you a star if they think you have it. Now, it can be classified as many things, but if they feel like you have it, or the look, or the voice, they're going to try to do everything in their power to make sure you're successful.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a lot. That's a lot to unpack and a lot to take in. And if you're not confident within yourself, you're not going to make it in any industry. So what I tell people, and I'm sure you've told that, and I'm sure you teach that and try to inspire people, put God first.
Amen.
Once you do that, everything else will fall into place. You will have a relationship with the universe, and the universe will bestow all the answers to the questions that you may have, and it'll present itself in a way where it's easy to digest, and you can bring forth the message that you need, whatever purpose that you have in life, and you will fulfill it. Once you know and understand that you are a cog in a bigger machine, and there's a higher force that regulates what you do, and once you understand the hierarchy in the universe, and you are an important role in this whole grand scheme of things, then everything will fall the way it's supposed to fall. Just like a person in Vegas shuffling cards. You know what I mean? Every card has to go where it needs to be, and once you understand probability, once you understand mathematics, everything will come a lot easier. Well, what you need to do is take the time out and do research, like you said. When you go to a role, you have a background, you have a foundation, people that help you to be the best version of yourself when you go in those roles. And when you don't have that, you always have a chip on yourself. I remember Tom Brady. Tom Brady, before he went into the NFL, he played for Michigan State, right?
Michigan.
Right. And he was not the starting quarterback. Starting quarterback got hurt, and he fulfilled that role, you know. But when he had that opportunity, he gave it his all. And from those tapes, the coaches from New England saw that he had the it factor.
Yes.
And they saw that what he had within him, and said that person is teachable.
Yes.
And he's coachable, and I can make this individual the greatest quarterback in the history of the game. And so said, so done. And every time you see him in an interview, if you do research on him, he'll talk about how people overlooked him, how people looked at his combine video, and they said that he has a club foot, and he's not going to be this, and he's not going to be that. And all of the quarterbacks that was in that draft, they fell by the wayside. And he just retired last year. He did 20 plus years, and he got 10 Super Bowl appearances, you know, and he's arguably the best person to do the role, because he took a chance on himself. He had that chip on his shoulder, and he understood that the game is going to give you what you give the game. And he understood the game, he understood what his role was, and he respected every individual in their respective position. And he said, we have to play together as a team in order to make things work. And I'm sure you being an actor, it's an ensemble. It's not just you as the number one actor. And anybody who's a prima donna, they mess up the chemistry. And if you don't have good chemistry, it's going to show on film. You know what I mean? People could be professional and say, okay, when it's cut, when it's action, you play that role. But when it's cut, you like, get away from me. You this and you are that. No, you don't want that energy to transfer into the camera. You want your audience to receive the good energy and the chemistry from it. That's what separates shows that have longevities, movies that are classic movies versus forgettable movies. And normally the forgettable movies are the ensemble didn't gel, and they didn't mesh well, and they didn't work for a common goal. So the point of all of that is to say that you take a chance on yourself.
Yes.
Put God first.
Amen.
And you have to take your craft seriously.
Yeah.
All right. So your clothing line. Well, you mentioned you have a clothing line. What tell us about the clothing line?
So it's funny how my clothing line actually started. So shout out to my boy Scotty Delaire. His clothing line is Reconnect. He's talking about reconnecting with the Lord as well. So please go look up his clothing line. So me and my friend, we were talking. We were just so he actually had to make clothing for another company, Fresh Few, and he couldn't technically have his own clothing line. So we were just brainstorming. He was like, hey, why don't you just be the face of my clothing line, like his clothing line, just so he could have it and make it, and he's not really the face. So I said, you know what, screw it, I'll do it. I'll help you out. And then months go by, we're promoting his brand, and then he was like, why don't you make your own too? And I was just like, oh, I never thought about that. And I was like, what would I call it? So we're just brainstorming, and I said to myself, I want it to last. And then I said, I don't want anything to be like it. And then I was like, last of our kind, because there's no one else like us. And I was like, you know what? I like it. And the acronym started from LOOK. So LOOK, last of our kind. I just threw the R in there for copyright film because somebody had something called loving our own kind. So I was just like, nah, just in case I blow up, I don't want them coming for me. So I ended up making last of our kind in 2020 during literally the pandemic. Me and my friend, we obviously couldn't go anywhere, so we just sitting in the basement creating ideas and brainstorming, and that's how I ended up creating the name, creating the brand, created the mission statement, last of our kind, limits undefined, and I just thought it was something because I love fashion, like being in the fashion industry. You love clothes, but I'm just like, if I'm wearing all this like Louis Vuitton, Coach, Polo Ralph Lauren, and I'm like, why can't I make that my own? Why can't I have my own like personal brand and customize it? And some people like my style, so they're just like, hey, why don't you have your own thing? So ended up making last of our kind, and haven't looked back. I have taken a step back a little bit on creating more products. I have to get back with the manufacturer and stuff because my first hoodies and sweats and t-shirts sold out. So it's not that it wasn't profitable. I just doing all these hats, and I have to put back on my last of our kind hat. It's been sitting right next to me. So please remember that last of our kind is out, and I will be getting back to it in 2025. So it's just one of the brands that I felt like it needed to be made for my personal life, because in creating all these brands and stuff like that and I'm just like, what represents me? And so I feel like last of our kind is something that represents me, my family, the people around me, and pretty much everybody likes what it stands for.
It's great, because when you represent something, you pretty much are the last of your Mohicans, you are last of your kind, and you want to preserve that so the next generation could adapt on it and put that principle on their shoulders. So where can people get a garment? You know, you have a website. Is it in stores?
So I did have a website. It is down currently. Like, you can still hit me up on Instagram and I can tell you what inventory I have left. If the website, when it does go back on, it is lastofourkind.com with an R, not O-U-R, because a lot of people go O-U-R and they're like, oh, your website doesn't exist. And I'm like, just change out the O-U-R and put R. So it is lastofourkind.com. But for now, hit me up on Last of Our Kind on Instagram. I will show you what I have. The t-shirts I still have are one sleeve. I wish I had brought a set for you. So next time I see you, I got you a shirt.
Yes, sir.
We'll get your size and everything. But I have black shirts, and I do a sleeve because when I was playing football, we had one hoodie that I really, really liked, and I liked the style of it, and inspired me to have a whole collection. So each color kind of reminds me of emotion. So like, green, to me, like, green is my favorite color. And I think green, some people look at as green as like envy or jealousy. I see green as like life and like the earth. And like, even some people say money. And so I'm just like, green can mean, like, these colors mean to you what you want it to mean in your life. So I have green, white, pink, blue, and red. So just those 5 for now. And obviously if people want more colors, I can make more colors. But I would say those 5 colors just represent different things in my life. And so I want them to have their own story for other people.
There you go. From being a property inspector, model, actor, what is important to you at this moment? If it's all said and done and you had a choice to do one thing, what would be that one thing that you would choose over the other two? Playing 3-card Monty right now.
It's
3-card Monty.
It's the reason why it's hard for me because I've been like I have the loyalty to the modeling and acting. I've been doing that for so long, but with my property inspection, the freedom, I've never had that freedom working in 9-to-5 jobs. I worked retail. I've been a salesperson. I've worked in management. I've worked the desk job. And to have the freedom I have now to make my own schedule, to really not have a boss besides my clients, it's very liberating. It's very, I feel like I can get so much more done and have time for myself and have time for my family. So at this time, I would say that. I would say the property management, I would take over the modeling and acting. And right now, if I woke up tomorrow, I could say a whole different thing. But at this very moment, because I've been modeling and acting so long, I think I would be okay with not doing it anymore. Now, would I stop? No, I wouldn't. But if I retired today, I would be okay with that. My last commercial being that Super Bowl one and being an NFL commercial, that's one thing that was on my list of goals that I've wanted to do for a long time. So to be in that, it was a blessing. So I would be okay walking into the sunset on that. Okay,
that's great. That's a good answer.
Yeah,
that's a great answer. So with being that you have the freedom for yourself, for your family, that is important for your mental health.
Yes.
Does that help you to prepare better for your roles because you are in tune?
Yes. Okay. Absolutely. And that's another thing. People don't take mental health serious enough. And I don't think I took mental health serious enough because I wouldn't try to talk to anybody about mine. My wife, she does the best with talking to me about my emotions and my mental health and stuff like that. She constantly asks, so always appreciate her just making sure that I'm good. My mom, she asks. Just everybody in my family is very good with that. But I just think before, like a couple years ago when I was like in the thick of things, I really wouldn't think about that. I'd be like, I would think emotions: happy, sad, mad, hungry. Like I would think of it in such a small, acute space to where I'm just like, do I really need to talk to people? Like, and I hate to say it, in the Black community, we really don't take it serious, and a lot of things go either misdiagnosed or we think we can just fix it by just kids spank them. They're acting bad when that might not be the case. So I feel like mental health is something that we all need to take a step back and look at it at a grand scope that, hey, maybe I do need some more mental health days to myself. Maybe I do need to talk to somebody who's away, who has no horse in the race, and just speak my mind. Sometimes it's just getting the vent out, just vent. You don't even need a response back, just getting it out, because some Black men, we've had to hold in our emotions for so long because we have to be strong. We have to be fierce. We can't cry. We can't do these things. And sometimes it can really work good when you're an actor and you're going for that. But what if you're going for the role, like the lover role, and you're just like one of those type of roles where you got to really think about your emotions and not just act. You got to really get in tune with somebody who's very in tune with their emotions. And sometimes it'll mess with you because you're like, I've never done this in my life. And you're doing this whole thing that you have to read a script and act it out, and you only got a month. So I feel like mental health is something that really, really needs to get looked at more and getting stopped, swept under the rug.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And hopefully from seeing your roles that you play in and other roles that people will understand that it's important for self-reflection.
Yes.
It's important to rely on somebody else outside of your circle, you know, because there are mental health professionals out there that they specialize in these matters. There are people who are empathetic, who will just listen. There are hotlines out there where you can call and people just listen to what you have to say. You know what I mean? Just don't bottle everything up and react at the drop of a hat and project your anger on somebody else, because it's not fair to you. You are important, and it's not fair to people that are in your life or around you. You know, so at this moment, I want to understand what things you have out there in the horizon, coming forward in the next couple of months, next couple of years. Any roles that you wrapped up that's in post-production that people don't know about. If you can talk about it, just shoot. This is your time to just shameless plug.
Well, I appreciate that. For in the acting world, I believe the most recent thing I've done, which I have to find time to do season I believe 2 now, was the Hernandez story.
Okay.
So that situation was very interesting because I've actually like going to Bloomfield, we played against Hernandez, and just seeing his story unfold from being at Bristol Eastern or Bristol Central, one of them, and then going to Florida Gators, then going to New England, and having someone our age so close to be able to be like reach out and touch type person, and just to see him go through the ringer with that, and then of course being in prison, and then going through what he did, and just that role being in there. So I played his basketball teammate, and I was on the football team as well. So that's going to be, if they bring back, which they've talked about bringing back more scenes from the basketball team and the football team, I'll be in that season as well. But as of right now, I'm on the first episode of the first season of The American Gladiator, their Hernandez story. And if you look, I'm on the basketball court, and if you see me, I'm like on the football field as well. It's very quick for the football, but basketball, you can definitely find me. So that's probably going to be in the upcoming for that role. I'm still going to try to get out there more for modeling. I know every year I try to do a wedding expo. We either usually do it like at the Science Center downtown in Hartford. It used to be in Farmington, but they've changed that location. So I'm not too sure when it's going to be this year, but I'll probably be doing that. And then in my property inspection, I'm going to be just rising that to the top. I actually want to expand in the next couple years. So I do Connecticut, New York, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire. I want to start venturing to like Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, try to get either a team together. So I'm not doing all the inspections, and just I feel like there's so much more money to be made, and it's just sitting there. So I want to go ahead and reward myself and reward my team. I'm starting to slowly recruit people, so I want to make sure I have that going in the next 5 years. I didn't even touch on this part, but another one of my many jobs, I'm a brand ambassador. So I represent a lot of different companies. I'm a product specialist for BMW, GM, Buick, and I'm trying to gain more car companies. So I'm going down the car luxury list right now. I do a lot of gigs at like the New York Islanders, New Jersey Devils, charity events, BMW, like we just have a bunch of different events to do. So I represent them. I do food companies. I've learned how to cook certain things because I've gotten in there. I was supposed to only be a brand ambassador, but now they got me in there like, all right, so we need you to cook. We need you to talk about the food. We need you to serve the food. We need you to do everything. So that's another experience that helped me learn more skills just for my life. What else? Also going to be doing more liquor companies. So I do sampling for liquor, and sometimes I go and give out different information about, like, let's just say Hennessy. I do tequila. I do vodka. I do all these different brands just to promote, have people try them, do different, like I've done Coachella. I'm going to try to do Coachella again this year coming up. I did the Final Four. So this brand ambassador industry also has brought me to these different places, and I feel like I can really use my acting skills because you're dealing with customers. And being a salesperson, you know, sometimes you got to put on a face and deal with every type of customer. So
you got to be in the moment.
You have to. So I feel like that this industry that I'm currently in with the brand ambassador just ties into even my property inspector, my photography, and my acting model.
That's great, man. You wear a lot of hats, man. That's great, man. You taking what you have, your purpose, and running with it. So can you give all your social media handles, your websites, or how people can get in contact with you if they have a question, if they want to be a part of your team, if they want to be an actor or a brand ambassador, anything? Where can they find you?
Absolutely. So Facebook, I had to change my Facebook name. It used to be my full name, but it's actually the letters JP space and then CEE. I only had to do that because I was a manager at a temp agency and I didn't want my temps following me on social media. So if you follow me on Facebook, that's my Facebook name. Twitter or X, I don't use as much, but I'm pretty sure it's Bojangles if it's still on there. TikTok, I believe it's Bo Croc. Instagram, my personal one is Crocker Flocka, Crocker _Flocka. 24, or my clothing brand is Last of Our Kind with the letter R spelled out, not O-U-R. That's the name of the clothing brand. That's the name of the Instagram. And in LinkedIn, you can find me by my actual government name, Jhmyle, Jhmyle, last name Crocker like Betty. Find me on there. You can hit me up, ask me any questions. I love to help people out, no matter if it's the smallest thing or the biggest thing. Whatever I can do to progress somebody in their career, life, relationship, God, whatever you need, hit me up and I'll do my absolute best to try to help you out.
That's great, man. So do you have any words of wisdom for the people? Words
of wisdom. I would say, obviously, first and foremost, keep God first. I don't think we can say that enough. You said it 3 or 4 times. I'm going to say it again. Keep God first, because without him first, nothing else will come after that.
Zero.
So keep him first. After that, I would say, go for your passion. Go for your passion. I know a lot of us do work jobs to pay the bills and do things like that. I don't have any kids yet, but if I did, I would have to make sure I have enough money to fund my kid, fund my wife, fund the house, make sure that we have bread on the table. So I know it's hard in this careers that we currently have, but I tell people, eventually, please get to your passion, because you don't want to work a 9-to-5 job or a job to where you're not happy and you either skip or lose out on something you really want to do. So please try to pursue your career in something that you actually like, because when you work a job that you actually like and love, feels like you never worked a day in your life.
Bam! And on that note, my name is James Dale. This is Creators Corner. Jhmyle Crocker.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
See you in the next one.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in. Join us next time on Creators Corner.
I feel like there's definitely is a stigma around body grooming. Me being almost 30, some of my friends, we still haven't even had a conversation about shaving ever. So I know some people are a little bit more comfortable with it. Some people never even want to talk about it. Some experience, you don't want to